Jordan Hayes reached for the champagne flute at table 8. Her hand froze midair. The woman sitting 3 feet away wore an emerald and silver brooch pinned to her gown. 3 waves, sharp edges, exact. Jordan's heart stopped. Her hand flew to her own collar. The brooch her mother gave her. Still there, still pinned exactly where she'd fastened it that morning. She looked back at the woman. Victoria Brennan, billionaire, tech mogul, the face on magazine covers. Victoria was wearing the same brooch, identical, down to the silver setting, down to the emerald stones, catching the light the exact same way. Jordan's mother had told her there was only one, hand-carved, irreplaceable. Someone special gave this to me, before you were born. But here it was again, on a stranger's chest. No, not a stranger. Victoria touched the brooch. Her fingers traced the waves absently. The gesture, so familiar Jordan's breath, caught in her throat. She'd seen that movement 1,000 times. In mirrors, on herself. This billionaire knew her mother. The room tilted. The champagne flute slipped from Jordan's grip. Jordan's pulse hammered in her ears. The ballroom sounds faded to nothing. She needed to say something, right now, before the moment passed, before Victoria moved to another table, before Jordan lost her nerve. But her throat closed. Her chest felt like someone was sitting on it. The words were right there, pushing against her teeth. But terror held them back. If she spoke up, everything would explode. Her job, gone. Her credibility, destroyed. Rich people didn't like being questioned, especially not by servers, especially not in front of their rich friends. Jordan had watched it happen before. A coworker asked about a guest's credit card decline once. Security escorted her out in under 5 minutes, blacklisted across every venue in Manhattan. But staying silent meant never knowing, never understanding why her mother died, protecting secrets, never learning the truth about the brooch, about the someone special, about why Claire Hayes worked herself to death rather than ask for help from whoever gave her that jewelry. Jordan's hands shook. Sweat slicked her palms. The ballroom felt too hot, too bright. Designer perfume hung thick in the air. Around her, people laughed at jokes about summer homes in the Hamptons, conversations about which private school was best, the casual mention of a $2,000 bottle of wine like it was nothing. Victoria Brennan sat at the center of it all, smiling, glowing, untouchable. Jordan was invisible. She'd spent 7 years being invisible in rooms like this, refilling glasses, clearing plates, nodding politely while people talked through her like she was furniture, existing in the spaces between other people's important moments. But that brooch made her visible. It pulled her into focus, demanded she look, demanded she remember. Her mother's face flashed in her mind. The hospital bed 2 years ago. Claire's hand pressing the brooch into Jordan's palm. Her voice weak, barely above a whisper. Find the truth I couldn't. The brooch on Victoria's gown caught the chandelier light again. Those 3 waves, the exact pattern. Jordan had 3 seconds, maybe less. 3 seconds to decide. Stay invisible and safe. Keep her job. Keep her tiny apartment. Keep juggling student loan payments and hoping next month would be easier. Or speak up. Ask the question. Watch her carefully managed life crumble. Her mother's dying words echoed. Find the truth I couldn't. Jordan's jaw tightened. Her hands stopped shaking. She stepped forward. Excuse me. Her voice came out stronger than she expected. Clear. It cut through the conversation at table 8 like a knife. Victoria Brennan stopped mid-sentence. Her smile stayed perfect, but her eyes shifted to Jordan, sharp, assessing. Yes. Victoria's tone was pleasant, patient, the way you'd speak to staff. Jordan's mouth went dry. Every eye at the table was on her now. 8 people in designer clothes, staring, waiting. Where did you get that brooch? Jordan pointed. Her hand was steady now, steady with something that felt like anger. Victoria glanced down, touched the brooch. This? It's been in my collection for years. Why? Because my mother had one exactly like it. Jordan pulled her own brooch forward. Let the light catch the emeralds. Claire Hayes, you knew her, didn't you? The smile on Victoria's face didn't move, but something changed in her eyes. Something cold. Something that looked like recognition. Silence dropped over the table. A woman gasped. A man set down his wine glass carefully. "I'm sorry," Victoria said. Her voice was still pleasant, still patient. But there was an edge now. "Claire Hayes." Jordan's voice got louder. "My mother. She died 2 years ago. This brooch was hers. She said someone special gave it to her. Someone who mattered." Jordan held up her brooch, held up the three-wave pattern. "You're wearing the same one. Identical. Hand-carved. My mother said there was only one, but you have one too." Victoria's hand moved to her brooch. Her fingers trembled. Just slightly. Just enough for Jordan to see. "I think you're mistaken," Victoria said. But her voice wasn't steady anymore. "I'm not mistaken." Jordan stepped closer. "Look at them. They're identical. Down to the scratch on the clasp. You knew my mother, and I want to know why she never told me about you." Movement in Jordan's peripheral vision. Security. 2 men in dark suits moving toward the table. Victoria's eyes flicked to them. Back to Jordan. Her smile was gone now. Her face was pale. "Ma'am." One of the security guards was beside Jordan. His hand closed around her elbow. "You need to come with us." "Wait." Jordan tried to pull back. "Now, please." The other guests looked away, back to their drinks, their conversations. Like Jordan had already stopped existing. But Victoria kept staring. And for just 1 second, her composure cracked completely. Her hand stayed on the brooch. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something. Guilt. That's what Jordan saw on her face. Pure, undeniable guilt. Victoria knew exactly what brooch this was. She knew exactly who Claire Hayes was. The security guard pulled Jordan backward, away from a table. Other servers moved past, eyes averted. No one looked at her. No one wanted to be associated with the girl who just destroyed her career. Jordan's heart pounded. Her legs felt weak, but she kept her eyes on Victoria. Victoria's hand was still on the brooch, still touching it, still using that same gesture Jordan had seen in the mirror her entire life. The exit doors opened. Cold air hit Jordan's face. She'd just lost everything, but she'd seen the truth in Victoria's eyes. Jordan was 8 years old, standing in the bathroom doorway of their tiny apartment, watching her mother fasten the brooch to her dress. "What's that, Mom?" Claire Hayes smiled at her reflection. The smile looked sad. "This? Someone gave it to me a long time ago." "Who?" "Someone special." Claire's fingers traced the wave pattern. 3 curves. Emerald stones set in silver. "Before you were born. See these waves? They mean persistence. Like water wearing down stone. Slow, patient. Eventually the water wins." "Did they love you?" Claire's smile faded. "I thought they did." Jordan had asked again over the years. "Who gave you the brooch? Where do they go? Why don't they visit?" Claire never answered. Just got that same sad look and changed the subject. 2 years ago in the hospital, dying because insulin cost more than rent, Claire had pressed the brooch into Jordan's hand. "Keep this safe," she'd whispered. Her breathing was shallow. Her skin was gray. Find the truth I couldn't. Before we find out what Jordan discovers about Victoria Brennan, if you're someone who believes the truth matters, no matter how powerful the people hiding it, hit that subscribe button, because this story is just getting started. "What truth, Mom?" But Claire's eyes had closed, and Jordan never got the answer. Until now. Until she saw Victoria Brennan's face. Until she saw that tiny scratch on the clasp of Victoria's brooch. The same scratch. The exact same imperfection. Victoria hadn't just known her mother. Victoria had known her mother intimately. Jordan sat in the staff locker room. Her hand shook. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Too bright. Too loud. Fired. Effective immediately. No references. No final paycheck. Security had walked her straight to her locker and waited while she emptied it. 3 minutes to pack up 7 years of work. The door opened. Jordan didn't look up. That was either really brave or really stupid. A woman's voice. Familiar. Jordan glanced up. Natasha, 50-something. Veteran server who'd worked Manhattan galas for 2 decades. The kind of woman who knew everyone's secrets because she was invisible enough that people forgot she was listening. Natasha sat down, dropped a manila folder on the bench between them. "What's that?" Jordan's voice came out hoarse. Research. Natasha opened the folder. Printouts, articles, old photographs. I remembered something after your little scene out there. Took me a minute to place it, but I knew I'd seen that brooch before. She spread the papers across the bench. Magazine interviews with Victoria Brennan. Profiles about her philanthropy work. Features on her Second Chances Fund for single mothers. Then Natasha pulled out an older photo, yellowed, printed from a college newspaper archive. Two young women, both maybe 20 years old, standing close, smiling, each wearing an emerald and silver brooch with a wave pattern. Jordan's breath stopped. One of the women was clearly Victoria Brennan, younger, different haircut, but unmistakably her. The other woman looked exactly like Jordan's mother. Claire Hayes, Jordan whispered. Natasha nodded. The caption says, NYU Business Students Launch Community Investment Initiative. Dated 1997, 28 years ago. Jordan's hands trembled as she picked up the photo. Her mother, young, happy, wearing the brooch, standing next to Victoria Brennan, like they were more than classmates, like they were something deeper. They knew each other, Jordan said. Her voice sounded distant, like it was coming from underwater. More than new. Natasha pulled out another printout. Contact information. After you left, I called someone. Friend of a friend. Elena Rodriguez. She's a journalist. Investigative work. She's been trying to write about Victoria Brennan for years. Keeps hitting walls. Legal threats. NDAs. The usual billionaire playbook. Natasha pressed the paper into Jordan's hand. Elena's been waiting for someone like you. Someone with proof. Someone Victoria can't silence with lawyers. Natasha stood. You destroyed your career out there. Might as well make it count for something. Jordan stared at the contact information, at the photograph of her mother and Victoria, at the matching brooches. Her mother had loved someone before Jordan was born, someone who gave her a hand-carved brooch, someone who mattered. And that someone was Victoria Brennan, billionaire, philanthropist, the woman who wore her guilt on her chest at Manhattan galas. Jordan's jaw tightened. She pulled out her phone. She had nothing left to lose. Elena Rodriguez's apartment was in Queens. 5th floor walk-up. Cramped. Every surface covered with papers, photographs, printouts. A conspiracy theorist dream or a journalist's nightmare, depending on how you looked at it. Jordan Hayes. Elena shook her hand. Firm grip. Sharp eyes. Natasha said you confronted Victoria Brennan at the gala. That took guts. Or stupidity. Jordan's voice was flat. Sometimes they're the same thing. Elena cleared space on her couch. Sit. I want to show you something. She pulled out a laptop. Opened a folder. Files and files of documents. I've been tracking Victoria Brennan for 5 years, Elena said. Started when a woman reached out to me. Said Victoria abandoned her after a 3-year relationship. Said Victoria gave her expensive gifts. Made promises. Then disappeared when the woman got sick. Needed expensive medical treatment Victoria could have paid for with pocket change. Elena clicked through photographs. Different women. Different years. But similar stories written in the margins. I found 3 others. All working class. All in relationships with Victoria before she became a billionaire. All ended the same way. Victoria moved on. Moved up. Left them behind. Jordan's stomach twisted. Look at this. Elena pulled up another image. A woman in her 40s. Smiling. Wearing a silver necklace with a small wave pendant. This is Rebecca Torres. She dated Victoria in 2003. Relationship ended when Rebecca wanted to get married. Victoria said her board wouldn't approve. Gave Rebecca this necklace as a parting gift. Sound familiar? Elena clicked to another photo. Different woman. Different piece of jewelry. Same wave pattern. This is Amy Chin. 2008. 3-year relationship. Ended when Amy got pregnant. Miscarried at 5 months. Victoria disappeared during the hospital stay. Left behind a bracelet. Matching waves. Jordan's hand moved to her brooch. The weight of it suddenly felt heavier. And this, Elena pulled up a 3rd photo, is Simone Baker. 2015. Victoria met her at a charity event. Simone was a social worker. They dated for 2 years. Ended when Simone's mother needed hospice care. Victoria ghosted. Left a brooch. Same pattern as yours. Jordan stared at the screen, at the three women, at the jewelry, at the pattern. Victoria collects people, Elena said quietly. Working class women. Women who represent something she used to be. Women she can love from a distance. And when they need something real, something that costs more than money, she leaves. But she always leaves a gift. Always the same wave pattern, like trophies. Jordan's throat tightened. My mother. She had cancer. 2 years ago. Couldn't afford treatment. She died rationing insulin and pretending everything was fine. Elena's expression softened. I'm sorry. Victoria knew, didn't she? I think so. Elena pulled up bank records. Anonymous transfers. Small amounts. A few hundred here. 1,000 there. All traced back to shell companies Victoria controlled. Your mother received these. Always returned them. Always wrote not interested on the check memo line. Jordan's hands curled into fists. Her mother had known Victoria was watching, had known Victoria was sending money like guilt payments. And Claire had refused. Every single time. Pride. Or punishment. Maybe both. Victoria has a pattern, Elena said. She finds women who remind her of who she used to be. She plays at being normal. Then when reality gets messy, she runs. But she can't let go completely, so she watches. She sends money. She wears the jewelry like penance. And she tells herself she's a good person. Jordan stood, walked to the window, looked out at the Queens skyline, Manhattan in the distance, where Victoria lived in a penthouse that cost more than Jordan would make in 10 lifetimes. My mother wasn't the only one, Jordan said. No, and Victoria's been doing this for decades. Yes. Jordan turned back to Elena. I want to expose her. All of it. The pattern. The abandonments. Everything. Elena smiled, sad, knowing. Then we need to be smarter than the 3 women who tried before you. Because Victoria Brennan doesn't just have money. She has power. And she knows how to use it. 28 years ago, Victoria Brennan was nobody. She was a scholarship kid at NYU, business major. Worked 3 jobs to cover what the scholarship didn't. Slept 4 hours a night. Ate ramen for every meal. Dreamed of building something that mattered. That's where she met Claire Hayes. Claire was in her economics class. Brilliant. Funny. From a working-class family in Pennsylvania. They bonded over being broke. Over understanding what it meant to count every dollar. Over believing they could build something better. They fell in love in the library, studying for finals. Claire had fallen asleep on Victoria's shoulder. Victoria had looked down at her and thought, this is it. This is the person. Victoria bought the brooches with money she'd saved for 3 months. Had them custom-made by a jeweler in Chinatown. The wave pattern was Claire's idea. Persistence. Water wearing down stone. With the water, Claire had said. Slow and steady. Eventually we win. Victoria had given Claire her brooch on graduation night. Kept the matching one for herself. A promise. A future. For 2 years, they built that future. Shared a tiny apartment in Brooklyn. Worked impossible hours. Victoria started developing an app. A platform connecting small businesses with investors. Claire worked in nonprofit management. They talked about getting married. About having kids. About growing old together. Then Marcus Chin appeared. He was a venture capitalist. Saw Victoria's pitch at a startup competition. Saw potential. Saw profit. I want to invest, he said. $5 million for 30% equity. Victoria had been euphoric. This was it. The break they needed. Then Marcus invited her to dinner. Alone. You're talented, he'd said. But the market is conservative. My other investors are conservative. They want founders who fit a certain profile. Victoria had known where this was going. She'd felt her stomach drop. Lesbian founders don't test well with our demographic, Marcus continued. His tone was casual, like he was discussing the weather. You need to be marriageable, stable, traditional. I have a partner, Victoria said. Her voice had sounded small. I know. That's a problem. Marcus leaned back. Here's my offer. $5 million now. Another 10 when we go public. But you need to be single. Or better yet, dating someone more marketable. Me, for example. Victoria had stared at him, at his expensive suit, at his complete lack of shame. If you say no, I walk, Marcus said. And I'll make sure every other investor in the city knows you're difficult to work with. High risk, not worth the trouble. Victoria went home, told Claire everything. Don't do it, Claire had said. Her eyes were fierce. We'll figure something else out. We don't need his money. But Victoria had already started thinking about the numbers. 5 million now, 10 million later. The company could change everything, could lift them both out of poverty, could prove that kids like them, broke, hungry, desperate, could win. She told herself she was doing it for both of them, for their future. She told herself it was temporary, just until the IPO. Then she'd come back. She told herself a lot of lies. Victoria married Marcus 6 months later. A business arrangement. He got his traditional CEO. She got her funding. The app launched, went viral, made Victoria a millionaire within a year, a billionaire within 5. Claire called once, asked if Victoria was coming back. Victoria said no, said it had been a mistake, said Claire should move on. Then she learned Claire was pregnant, that the donor process they'd started, the child they'd planned together, had happened without her. Victoria had sent money, an envelope with enough to cover everything. A note, please, let me help. Claire sent it back, written across the check. We don't want anything from you. 27 years passed. Victoria built an empire, married, divorced, dated women in secret, left them when things got real, always gave them jewelry, always the wave pattern, always as penance for the first woman she'd abandoned. She wore her brooch at every public event, a reminder, a punishment. Victoria told herself she'd made the right choice, that sacrifice was necessary for success. She told herself she was a good person, that the Second Chances Fund made up for the people she'd hurt. She told herself a lot of lies, but she never stopped thinking about Claire Hayes and the daughter she'd chosen empire over. Jordan posted the story at midnight. She'd spent 3 hours writing it. 400 words. Simple. Direct. 2 photographs side by side. Her brooch and the old college photo of her mother wearing the matching one. Victoria Brennan's face circled in red. My mother died 2 years ago. Before she died, she gave me this brooch and told me someone special had given it to her. Tonight I saw Victoria Brennan wearing the matching piece. I think she knew my mother. I think she abandoned her. I think she's been lying about who she really is. Jordan hit post, shared it everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, tagged Victoria's accounts, tagged major news outlets, tagged LGBTQ plus advocacy organizations. Then she waited. For 6 hours, nothing happened. A few likes, a couple of shares from friends, supportive comments. Then, at 6 in the morning, everything exploded. But not the way Jordan expected. Victoria's PR team moved like a military operation. First came the statement, posted to Victoria's official accounts. Sympathetic, concerned, carefully worded. I'm saddened to see false accusations from a former employee who was recently terminated for inappropriate behavior. I never met Claire Hayes. I hope Jordan Hayes gets the help she needs during this difficult time. Then came the articles, planted in friendly outlets, published within hours. Disgruntled ex-employee targets tech mogul with false claims. Victoria Brennan faces harassment from terminated server. Mental health concerns raised after public accusation. Jordan's phone exploded with notifications, but they weren't supportive. Someone had leaked her personnel file, fabricated but thorough, documented behavioral issues, confrontations with guests, unprofessional conduct. Someone had created fake social media accounts in her name, posted unhinged rants, made her look unstable. Someone had contacted every venue in Manhattan, warned them about Jordan Hayes, litigious, difficult, not worth the risk. By noon, Jordan's story was buried, replaced with articles about false accusations and social media harassment. News outlets that had initially shown interest backed off. Too risky. Not enough evidence. Victoria Brennan has powerful lawyers. By evening, Jordan's phone was full of messages, but not from supporters. Death threats. Hundreds of them. Stop lying about a queer icon. You're just jealous of successful women. I hope you lose everything. Jordan sat in her apartment, stared at her phone, watched her life disintegrate in real time. A notice slipped under her door from her landlord. due to multiple noise complaints and disturbances. We're issuing a 30-day notice to vacate. Fabricated. Jordan had been a model tenant for 3 years, but it didn't matter. The landlord had been pressured, or paid off, or threatened. Jordan's catering gigs dried up overnight. Venues stopped calling. Her agency dropped her with no explanation. Within 24 hours, she'd gone from struggling server to unemployable pariah. Victoria's power wasn't just money. It was control, the ability to rewrite reality, to make Jordan the villain, to bury the truth under an avalanche of manufactured lies. Jordan deleted the post, not because she wanted to, but because Elena called her terrified. "They're going after me too," Elena said. "My editor killed my story. Said it's too risky. Victoria's lawyers sent a cease and desist. If we push this, they'll destroy us both." Jordan sat in the dark, holding her mother's brooch, thinking about Claire, about how she died alone, silent, protecting Victoria's secret even as it killed her. Maybe Victoria was right. Maybe fighting power when you had nothing was just stupidity. Jordan's laptop chimed. An email from an account she didn't recognize. Subject line, "I can help." Sender, Marcus C. Jordan's finger hovered over the delete button. Then she opened it. Victoria watched Jordan's mother's funeral from a parking lot. For 27 years, she's been hiding something. If you want to see Jordan uncover the full truth about what Victoria's been running from. And trust me, what comes next will change everything you think you know about this story. Drop a comment with your thoughts so far. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Because the biggest reveals are still ahead. Marcus Chin lived on the Upper East Side, a penthouse that overlooked Central Park. The kind of apartment Jordan would never see unless she was serving drinks at a party. But Marcus had invited her, given her the door code, said, "Come alone. Don't tell anyone, not even Elena." Jordan stood in his living room, floor-to-ceiling windows, art that probably cost more than her mother's medical debt, furniture that looked too expensive to sit on. Marcus was in his 50s, gray at the temples, expensive suit even though it was Sunday morning. He looked tired, like someone carrying guilt for decades. "Coffee," he offered. Jordan shook her head. "Why did you contact me?" Marcus sat, gestured for Jordan to do the same. "Because Victoria's been running from this for 28 years. And maybe it's time she stopped." "You were her investor," Jordan said. "The one who made her choose." Marcus nodded. "I'm not proud of what I did. I was young, ambitious, thought I was playing the game smart. I didn't realize I was destroying people's lives." He pulled out a folder, thick, heavy, full of documents. "Victoria and Claire planned to have children together," Marcus said. "Did you know that?" Jordan's breath caught. "What?" "They'd chosen a donor. Started the process. Claire was undergoing treatment. Then I came in with my ultimatum. Victoria chose the money, the company, me." Marcus opened the folder, pulled out papers. Donor agreements, both signed. Claire Hayes and Victoria Brennan. Dated 2 months before Victoria accepted Marcus's investment. "Claire was already pregnant when Victoria left," Marcus said quietly. "Victoria knew. I knew. We both knew." Jordan's hands trembled as she took the documents. Her mother's signature, Victoria's signature, side by side, planning a future, planning a child, planning Jordan. "Victoria offered money," Marcus continued, "for Claire to handle it. That's what she said. Handle it. Like your existence was a problem to be solved." Jordan's throat closed. She couldn't breathe. Claire refused, told Victoria if she left, she'd raise the child alone. And she did. Marcus's voice cracked. "Victoria knew about you your entire life, Jordan. She tracked you, watched from a distance, sent money Claire always returned." He pulled out more documents. Bank records, anonymous transfers, hundreds of them, spanning 27 years. Every birthday, every Christmas, every school milestone. Victoria sent something. Claire sent it back, every single time. Jordan stared at the papers, at the dates, at the amounts, at the evidence of a mother's pride and a coward's guilt. "The donor," Jordan whispered. "Who was it?" Marcus met her eyes. Victoria helped choose. They wanted someone with certain traits. Intelligence, creativity, resilience. "I want the name," Marcus slid another paper across the coffee table. Donor information, medical history, background. Jordan read it. Read the genetic markers. Read the profile. Then Marcus said what Jordan was starting to realize. Victoria is your biological parent. The donor provided half your DNA. But Victoria made you possible. She chose your donor with Claire. She planned your existence. Then she walked away before you were born. The room tilted. Jordan gripped the couch. Her entire understanding of herself was rewriting in real time. She wasn't just the daughter of a woman Victoria abandoned. She was the child Victoria abandoned. Why are you telling me this? Jordan's voice came out broken. Because Victoria's been living a lie, Marcus said. She built an empire on abandoning the people who needed her. You, Claire, 3 other women I know about. Probably more I don't. He stood, walked to the window, looked out at Manhattan. I facilitated that lie. I told Victoria that love was weakness, that authenticity was bad for business. I made her choose empire over humanity, and I've lived with that guilt every day since. Marcus turned back to Jordan. The brooch Victoria wears? She's worn it to every public event for 28 years. I asked her once why. She said it was her reminder, her punishment, that as long as she wore it, she couldn't forget what she'd done. She's been wearing her guilt, Jordan said. Her voice was numb, and hoping someone would recognize it. Marcus finished, hoping someone would force her to confess, because Victoria's too much of a coward to do it herself. Jordan looked at the documents, at the proof of her existence, at the evidence of abandonment that started before she was even born. I want to destroy her, Jordan said. Marcus nodded. I'll help you. Marcus's evidence was devastating. He spread it across his dining table like a prosecutor building a case. 28 years of documentation, paper trails, digital footprints, proof of everything Victoria had tried to bury. First, the donor agreements, signed by both Claire and Victoria, dated, notarized, proof they planned Jordan together. Second, bank records. The anonymous transfers Claire refused, but also other payments, to Rebecca Turris, to Amy Chin, to Simone Baker, all structured through shell companies, all traceable back to Victoria. Hush money, disguised as gifts. Third, emails. Marcus had kept everything. Messages from Victoria tracking Jordan through schools, through jobs, through life milestones. She was at your high school graduation, Marcus said. He pulled up a photograph. Crowd shot. Someone circled in red at the back. Victoria. Sunglasses. Hat. Hiding. Your college graduation. Another photo. Different crowd. Same figure in the background. Your mother's funeral. Marcus's voice dropped. She stood in the parking lot, watched from her car, wore the brooch. Jordan's hand shook. She'd never known, never seen, never realized she'd been watched her entire life by the woman who chose not to be her parent. Elena arrived an hour later. Marcus had called her, said they needed media strategy, said it was time to burn Victoria's empire down. Elena brought her own evidence, 5 years of investigation, but more importantly, she'd found the others. I contacted the women, Elena said. Rebecca, Amy, Simone. Told them about Jordan, about the pattern, about Victoria watching all of them after she left. She opened her laptop, pulled up video files, testimonies. 3 women, different ages, different backgrounds, same story. Rebecca Torres. She said she loved me. Then her company went public, and I never heard from her again. She sent money. I didn't want money. I wanted her. Amy Chin. I lost our baby at 5 months. I was alone in the hospital. She didn't call, didn't text, just sent a bracelet 2 weeks later. Like jewelry could replace a child. Simone Baker. My mother was dying. Victoria promised she'd be there. Then she ghosted, blocked my number, sent a brooch as a goodbye. 3 women, 3 abandonments, 3 pieces of jewelry with wave patterns. Elena clicked to another file. But there's more. I dug into Victoria's company, VicTech Solutions, the original funding. She pulled up financial records, corporate filings, investment documents. The lead investor was Harold Webb. He embezzled $12 million from his previous firm. The SEC was investigating. Victoria knew. Marcus knew. They used the dirty money anyway. Marcus's jaw tightened. I thought we could clean it later, after the IPO. I was wrong. The money's still there, Elena said. Built into the foundation of Victoria's empire. She's worth $3 billion. All of it started with stolen capital, and she's known for 28 years. Jordan stared at the evidence. The pattern was clear. Victoria didn't just abandon people. She built her entire life on abandonment, on choosing power over truth, on burying inconvenience under money and lawyers and manufactured narratives. Harold Webb has 3 kids, Elena continued, from 3 different women, all abandoned when things got complicated, all received anonymous settlements, all told to stay quiet. She pulled up photographs. 3 adults, all Jordan's age, all with similar stories. Victoria learned from the best, Elena said. Webb showed her how to erase people, how to pay for silence, how to wear success like armor, and she's been doing it ever since. Jordan felt something shift inside her. This wasn't just about her mother anymore. It wasn't even just about her. This was about a pattern, a system, a way powerful people erased the inconvenient humans they left behind. We need all of them, Jordan said. Rebecca, Amy, Simone, Webb's kids, everyone Victoria hurt, everyone she paid off, everyone she thought she could silence. Elena smiled. Sharp, dangerous. I already called them. They're ready. Marcus pulled out his phone. I have access to Victoria's schedule. She's keynoting the Women in Tech Innovation Gala next month. Every major outlet will be there, live streamed to 200,000 people. Jordan picked up her mother's brooch, held it in her palm, felt the weight of 20 years of secrets. Then that's where we end this. Marcus poured 3 glasses of whiskey. Expensive. The kind Jordan had only served, never tasted. If you're going to destroy Victoria, you need to understand what you're destroying, he said. Jordan took the glass. Didn't drink. Just waited. Victoria's entire identity is built on authenticity, Marcus continued. The out-queer CEO, the woman who overcame poverty, the champion of working-class entrepreneurs. Every award she's won, every speaking engagement, every mentorship, all of it depends on that story. He pulled up Victoria's public profile on his laptop. TED Talks, magazine covers, award ceremonies, most inspiring LGBTQ+ business leader, champion of women in tech, authentic leadership award. Each headline a building block in Victoria's carefully constructed public image. Exposure won't just cost her money, Marcus said. It'll cost her legacy. The only thing she values more than wealth. The belief that she's a good person who did hard things for the right reasons. Elena leaned forward. But that's also the problem. If we expose her, we don't just hurt Victoria. We hurt every queer business person who'll get painted with the same brush. We destroy the Second Chances Fund that actually helps single mothers. We give ammunition to people who already think LGBTQ+ leaders are dishonest. Jordan felt the weight of that. The collateral damage. The ways truth could hurt innocent people. There's more, Marcus said quietly. Victoria has been a major donor to LGBTQ+ causes for 20 years. Youth centers, legal defense funds, housing programs. She's funded things that save lives. If we destroy her, that funding disappears. So we just let her get away with it? Jordan's voice cracked. Let her keep lying? Keep wearing my mother's memory like an accessory. I'm not saying that. Marcus met her eyes. I'm saying you need to choose what kind of justice you want. Total destruction or accountability? Because those are different things. Elena pulled up more research, public opinion analysis, social media sentiment. If we expose everything, half the country will call Victoria a hypocrite who deserves prison. The other half will call us homophobic opportunists destroying a queer icon. The truth will get lost in the noise. Jordan stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city, at the empire Victoria had built on lies and abandoned people. My mother died protecting Victoria's secret, Jordan said. She could have exposed her years ago, could have demanded child support, could have destroyed Victoria's career before it started. But she didn't. She chose dignity, chose to raise me alone, chose to let Victoria live her lie. She turned back to Marcus and Elena. Why? Why would she protect someone who abandoned her? Marcus's expression softened. Maybe because she loved you more than she hated Victoria. Maybe because destroying Victoria would have meant making your existence a weapon. Maybe because some people choose to break themselves rather than break others. Jordan's throat tightened. She thought about her mother, working 3 jobs, rationing insulin, dying in a hospital bed while Victoria lived in a penthouse. Victoria needs to be held accountable, Jordan said. But not just destroyed. I want her to admit what she did, to say my mother's name, to acknowledge that Claire Hayes existed and mattered and was loved and abandoned. She picked up the brooch, the one her mother had given her. I want every person she hurt to be seen, not as victims, as people. Real people Victoria erased to make her empire cleaner. Elena nodded. Then we need a plan that's smarter than revenge. We need accountability that can't be spun or buried or paid off. Marcus finished his whiskey. The gala is in 3 weeks. We need Victoria to confess publicly, on camera, in a way she can't take back. Jordan looked at both of them. Then let's build a trap she can't escape. They worked through the night. Marcus's dining table became a war room. Laptops, documents, photographs, a plan taking shape piece by piece. Elena outlined the media strategy. We need this live streamed. Multiple cameras, multiple platforms, backup recordings in case Victoria's team tries to shut it down. No opportunity for spin or editing. She'd already contacted independent journalists, tech-savvy volunteers who understood what was at stake, people who'd been silenced by powerful figures before and wanted to help. I'll have 6 cameras minimum, 3 official angles from the gala coverage, 3 independent phones, live streaming to platforms Victoria doesn't control. The moment you start talking, 200,000 people will be watching. Marcus handled access. I still have connections. I can get you into the gala as my guest. Victoria won't expect it. Security won't stop you if you're with me. He pulled up the venue layout. Cipriani Wall Street. The same venue where Jordan had watched her life explode 2 months ago, where she'd been fired for asking about a brooch. Victoria's keynote is at 8 p.m. She'll be on stage, vulnerable, visible, no way to escape without it looking like guilt. Jordan studied the layout, the stage, the exits, the placement of cameras and witnesses. What happens when security tries to remove me? They won't, Marcus said, because you won't be alone. He pulled up contact information. Rebecca Torres, Amy Chin, Simone Baker, the 3 other women Victoria had abandoned. They're all coming. I bought them tickets. They'll be spread throughout the audience. When you stand, they stand. When you speak, they speak. Security can't remove all of you without creating a scene that proves your point. Elena added, I've also contacted Harold Webb's children. 2 agreed to come. They have their own testimony about how Webb taught Victoria the abandonment playbook. 7 people, Jordan said. 7 testimonies. 7 pieces of evidence. Plus mine, Marcus said. I'll testify to the ultimatum, to knowing about your mother, to facilitating the lie. If Victoria goes down, I go down with her. But maybe that's justice too. They built contingencies. What if Victoria refuses to engage? We have documents. We read them aloud. What if her lawyers try to stop it? We're not making threats. We're telling truth. First Amendment protects us. What if she tries to spin it afterward? Too many witnesses. Too much evidence. Spin can't survive truth when it's this overwhelming. Jordan looked at the plan, at the testimony lineup, at the evidence packets they'd prepared. There's one more thing, she said quietly. Marcus and Elena looked at her. We need to offer Victoria a choice. Not just destroy her. Give her the option to do the right thing. What do you mean? Elena asked. Before the gala, we send her everything. The evidence, the testimonies, the proof. We tell her exactly what we're planning. Jordan's voice steadied. We give her the chance to confess voluntarily, to make it right before we force her hand. Marcus frowned. That gives her time to prepare, to lawyer up, to shut us down. Maybe, Jordan said. But my mother spent 27 years giving Victoria chances to do the right thing. Every time Victoria sent money, my mother sent it back with a message. Acknowledge what you did. Claire chose dignity over revenge every single time. She picked up her mother's brooch. The weight of it familiar now. I want to give Victoria one last chance to choose courage over cowardice. If she takes it, maybe we avoid the public destruction. If she doesn't, Jordan's jaw tightened. Then we bring the whole empire down. Elena studied her. That's risky. That's giving Victoria all the power again. No, Jordan said. It's giving her accountability. Choice is what separates justice from revenge. Marcus nodded slowly. Your mother would be proud of you. Jordan looked out the window. Dawn was breaking over Manhattan. The city Victoria had conquered was waking up. In 3 weeks, Jordan would walk into that gala, would stand in front of the woman who chose not to be her parent, would make Victoria Brennan say Claire Hayes' name out loud, and maybe, finally, her mother could rest. The ballroom at Cipriani Wall Street looked exactly like Jordan remembered. Crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, the smell of money and champagne and power. But this time, Jordan wasn't wearing a server's uniform. She walked in on Marcus Chen's arm. Credentials checked. Names on the list. Marcus Chen +1. Security waved them through without a second glance. Elena was already inside. Camera disguised as a phone. Live stream ready. 3 other independent journalists scattered throughout the crowd, all waiting for Jordan's signal. Rebecca Torres sat at table 12. Amy Chen at table 7. Simone Baker near the back. Harold Webb's 2 children positioned near the exits. All of them wearing their brooches, their necklaces, their bracelets, all with the wave pattern, all waiting. The lights dimmed. A woman took the stage to introduce the keynote speaker. Please welcome our featured guest, tech innovator, philanthropist, champion of authentic leadership, Victoria Brennan. Applause thundered through the ballroom. People stood. Cameras flashed. Victoria walked onto the stage in a midnight blue gown, her hair perfect, her smile radiant, and pinned to her chest, catching the spotlight like it was made for this moment. The emerald and silver brooch. Jordan's hand moved to her own collar, her mother's brooch, still there, still waiting. Victoria began speaking, her voice clear, confident, inspiring. Thank you for this incredible honor. Tonight, I want to talk about authenticity, about showing up as our whole selves, about lifting up the next generation of queer leaders who deserve to build empires without compromising who they are. The crowd hung on every word. Jordan felt sick. Victoria continued. I built my company on the belief that you don't have to choose between success and integrity, that you can be authentic and powerful, that you can honor where you came from while reaching for something greater. Every word was a lie, every sentence a carefully constructed fabrication. Jordan stood. The movement rippled through the ballroom. Heads turned. Victoria's eyes found Jordan in the crowd. Recognition flashed across Victoria's face. Then fear. Jordan walked toward the stage, her legs steady, her heart hammering. But her voice, when it came out, was clear. Ms. Brennan, I'm Jordan Hayes. The ballroom went silent. Victoria's smile froze. I'm Claire Hayes' daughter. Jordan kept walking, got to the front, stood where everyone could see. I'm your daughter. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Victoria's face went pale. Elena's phone went live. 50,000 viewers in the first 30 seconds. The number climbing. Jordan reached for her brooch, unpinned it, held it up for everyone to see. You gave this to my mother 30 years ago. You and Claire planned a future together. You chose a donor together. You planned to have children together. Jordan's voice got stronger, louder. Then your investors told you to choose. Money or love, empire or authenticity. She held the brooch higher. The spotlight caught the emeralds, the 3 waves. You chose money. You abandoned my mother when she was pregnant with me. You offered her money to handle it. She refused. She raised me alone, and you watched from a distance for 27 years while wearing your guilt like an accessory. Jordan pulled out documentation, donor agreements, photographs, bank records. You've been wearing that brooch to every public event for 28 years. The matching piece to my mother's. A reminder of the person you abandoned, the child you chose not to parent, the love you traded for an empire. Security started moving toward the stage, but Marcus stood, blocked their path. Let her speak, Marcus said. His voice carried. Let her tell the truth you've been running from. Victoria stood frozen on stage, her hand on the brooch, her lips parted, but no words coming out. Jordan held up her phone, played a video. Marcus's testimony. Clear, detailed, damning. I gave Victoria Brennan an ultimatum in 1997. Marry me and hide who she was, or lose her funding. She chose the money. She knew Claire was pregnant. She walked away anyway, and I helped her build an empire on that abandonment, on that lie. The video ended. The ballroom was silent, except for the sound of phones recording, of people whispering, of a carefully constructed image beginning to crack. Jordan looked up at Victoria, at the woman who chose not to be her parent, at the billionaire who'd built everything on lies. My mother died 2 years ago, from rationed insulin she couldn't afford. You could have saved her with pocket change, but you were too busy wearing your guilt and telling yourself you were a good person. Jordan's voice broke. You spent 28 years talking about authenticity, about showing up as your whole self, about not compromising who you are. She held up the brooch, the matching piece to Victoria's. But you compromised my mother. You compromised me. You compromised every woman you've abandoned when they became inconvenient. Jordan looked directly at Victoria, at the fear in her eyes, at the guilt she'd worn for 28 years finally being seen. I know why you left my mother, Jordan said, each word landing like a hammer. You chose power over love, money over family, empire over humanity. The ballroom was frozen, every eye on Victoria, every camera recording, every witness watching the moment a carefully built lie shattered under the weight of truth. And tonight, Jordan finished. Everyone else knows too. Victoria's hand shook. She gripped the podium, her knuckles white, her face pale. This is a private matter, she said. Her voice came out weak, uncertain. Nothing like the confident keynote speaker from 3 minutes ago. This isn't a place. No, Jordan cut her off. You made it public. Every time you wore that brooch on a magazine cover. Every time you gave a speech about authenticity while hiding what you'd done. You made my mother's pain public. You just didn't expect anyone to recognize it. Rebecca Torres stood. All eyes shifted to her. She pulled a necklace from under her dress. Silver. Wave pattern. Identical design. My name is Rebecca Torres. Victoria Brennan gave me this in 2003 when she ended our 3-year relationship. She said her board wouldn't approve of us getting married. She said I needed to move on. Then she sent me money every year like guilt could replace love. Amy Chin stood next, held up a bracelet. Same waves, same pattern. Amy Chin. Victoria left me when I miscarried our baby in 2008. I was alone in the hospital. She sent this bracelet 2 weeks later. Like jewelry could replace the child we lost. Like money could erase what you did. Simone Baker stood. Her brooch caught the light. 3 waves. Emerald stones. Simone Baker. 2015. My mother was dying. Victoria promised she'd be there. Then she disappeared. Blocked my number. Sent this as a goodbye. I've worn it for 8 years, wondering what I did wrong. Wondering why I wasn't worth staying for. The ballroom erupted. Whispers. Gasps. Phones recording everything. Elena's live stream hit 100,000 viewers. Then 150,000. The number kept climbing. 2 more people stood. Harold Webb's children. A man and a woman in their late 20s. The man spoke. Victoria learned from the best. Harold Webb abandoned my mother, my sister's mother, and 3 other women the same way. Made promises. Made children. Then disappeared when reality got inconvenient. Victoria worked with Webb, learned his playbook, used stolen money from his embezzlement to build her empire. The woman held up documentation, financial records, corporate filings, proof of the embezzled capital that started Big Tech Solutions. She's been building on stolen foundations for 28 years, the woman said. Money and lies and abandoned people. That's the empire. That's the authentic leadership. Victoria's composure shattered. She stepped back from the podium, her hand still on her brooch, tears streaming down her face. I knew, she whispered. The microphone picked up, broadcast it to 200,000 people watching live. I knew about Jordan. I watched her grow up. I went to her graduations. I stood in the parking lot at Claire's funeral. Her voice broke. I wore this brooch to punish myself, to remember what I'd done. I sent money, hoping Claire would take it, hoping she'd let me apologize. But she wouldn't. She died hating me. Jordan's certainty wavered. The pain in Victoria's voice was real. The guilt was real. Your mother refused every olive branch, Victoria continued. Every attempt to help. Every offer to be involved. She said I'd made my choice and she'd made hers. She chose to raise you without me. She chose to die rather than take my money. She chose dignity over forgiveness. The ballroom was silent, the narrative shifting, complicating. Jordan's mind raced. Had her mother been protecting her or punishing Victoria? Had Claire's pride been strength or stubbornness? Was the truth more complicated than villain and victim? Around the ballroom, phones kept recording. Sponsors were literally standing up and leaving. Board members looked horrified. Lawyers were probably already being called. But Victoria stood on that stage, tears streaming, and for the first time in 28 years, told the truth. I was a coward, Victoria said. I chose money over love. I chose empire over family. I told myself I was doing it for both of us. That success would make everything worth it. But Claire was right. I destroyed the only thing that mattered. And I spent 28 years trying to buy back something that was never for sale. She looked at Jordan, really looked at her, at the daughter she'd chosen not to parent. I'm sorry, Victoria said. I know it's not enough. I know it doesn't fix anything. But I'm sorry for abandoning your mother, for abandoning you, for building an empire on the bodies of people I hurt. I'm sorry. The words hung in the air, broadcast live, recorded on dozens of phones, witnessed by hundreds of people and 200,000 viewers online. An apology 28 years late, but finally undeniably said out loud. Jordan stood in front of the stage, in front of Victoria, in front of hundreds of witnesses and hundreds of thousands of viewers. She could destroy Victoria completely. The evidence was overwhelming. The testimony was devastating. Victoria's empire would crumble. Her reputation would be ashes. Every award rescinded. Every speaking engagement canceled. Total annihilation. Justice. Finally, after 27 years of silence, after her mother's death, after a lifetime of unanswered questions. But Jordan thought about Claire, about the woman who'd refused Victoria's money every single time, who'd chosen pride over revenge, who'd died protecting her daughter from a truth that would have destroyed her childhood. Her mother could have exposed Victoria decades ago, could have demanded child support, could have weaponized Jordan's existence. But she didn't. She chose dignity. Jordan took a breath, made her choice. Here's what's going to happen, she said, her voice steady, clear, carrying through the silent ballroom. You're going to establish a real support fund, not the guilt payments you've been sending. Real resources for abandoned families, therapy, legal support, medical care, housing assistance, everything my mother needed and couldn't access while you lived in a penthouse. Victoria nodded, still crying, still broken on stage. You're going to publicly acknowledge every person you hurt, by name. Rebecca Turris, Amy Chin, Simone Baker, Claire Hayes, every woman you abandoned, every child you erased. You're going to make them visible. Jordan pulled out more documentation, legal papers Elena had prepared. You're going to submit to an independent audit of every NDA you've ever signed, every settlement you've paid, every person you've silenced, and you're going to give them the choice to speak without legal retaliation. She held up the papers. This is a contract. You sign it on camera right now, or I release everything. The embezzlement, the pattern of abandonment, the stolen capital, Webb's crimes and your complicity. All of it. Victoria walked down from the stage, took the papers, read through them with shaking hands. And one more thing, Jordan said. You give me both brooches, mine and yours. You surrender the symbol of your guilt. You stop performing penance and start actually making amends. Victoria's hand moved to her brooch, the one she'd worn for 28 years. The reminder, the punishment, the performance of guilt she'd used instead of actual accountability. She unpinned it, held it in her palm. The emerald stones caught the light one last time. Okay, Victoria whispered. Okay. She signed the contract, on camera, in front of everyone, legal, binding, witnessed. Then she handed Jordan the brooch. the matching piece to Claire's, the set that was supposed to symbolize a future that never happened. Jordan held both brooches in her hands. The weight of them, the history, the broken promises and abandoned love, and 20 years of secrets. My mother's name was Claire Hayes, Jordan said, each word deliberate, powerful. She worked 3 jobs to raise me alone. She rationed insulin she couldn't afford. She died protecting me from knowing that my other parent chose money over us. She was brilliant. She was strong. She was loving. And she deserved better than being erased. Jordan looked at Victoria, at the woman who was her biological parent, but had never been her mother. You don't get to forget her anymore. Claire Hayes existed. She mattered. She was loved. And her daughter is standing here making sure the world knows it. The ballroom erupted. Not applause. Chaos. Lawyers shouting. Sponsors leaving. Journalists on phones. The live stream hitting 250,000 viewers. But Jordan just held the brooches. Both of them. Finally understanding her mother's whole story. The love. The betrayal. The pride. The protection. It wasn't satisfying. It wasn't clean. It wasn't the total destruction Jordan had wanted. But it was acknowledgement. It was truth. It was Claire Hayes's name said aloud in front of the world. And maybe that was justice after all. 9 months passed. Victoria Brennan stepped back from public roles. The headline said she was focusing on accountability. The reality was her empire had crumbled. Not destroyed, but diminished, damaged, forever changed. The fund existed. Real money, real resources. Rebecca Torres ran it. Made sure it actually helped people instead of just making Victoria feel better about herself. The NDAs were audited. 7 more women came forward. Their stories heard. Their pain acknowledged. No more silence bought with settlements. Victoria sold her penthouse. Moved somewhere smaller. Quieter. Started therapy. Started actually facing what she'd done instead of performing guilt at galas. Jordan never went back to serving. Elena's expose won awards. Major outlets picked it up. The brooch that broke a billionaire. Authenticity's price. One woman's 28-year lie. Jordan started a nonprofit. Waves of persistence. The logo was one of the brooches, her mother's brooch, photographed and stylized. Resources for children of abandoned families. Support for single mothers. Everything Claire had needed and never received. The other brooch, Victoria's, sat in a box in Jordan's closet. She couldn't wear it, couldn't look at it. It was Victoria's guilt, and Jordan refused to carry it. Marcus Chun reconnected with one of his own abandoned children, started making his own amends, started facing his own role in destroying families for profit. Jordan stood on the Brooklyn Bridge one evening, looking out at Manhattan, at the skyline Victoria had conquered, at the empire built on abandoned people. She understood her mother now, the bitterness, the pride, the refusal to take Victoria's money even when dying. Claire Hayes had chosen dignity, had chosen to protect Jordan from knowing she was the child someone didn't want enough to fight for, had chosen silence over vengeance. It had killed her, but it had also been love, complicated, painful, imperfect love. Jordan touched the brooch pinned to her jacket, her mother's brooch, the one she'd earned through sacrifice and strength in 27 years of choosing pride over comfort. The waves caught the evening light. 3 curves. Persistence. Water wearing down stone. Slow. Patient. Eventually, the water wins. Claire Hayes had won, not in destroying Victoria, but in raising a daughter who refused to be erased. Jordan never got the parent who left. That wound would never fully heal. But she got something else. She got the truth. She got her mother's story. She got to make sure Claire Hayes wasn't just a secret Victoria carried. Her mother had protected her from a truth that would have destroyed her childhood, had chosen dignity over Victoria's money, had chosen silence over exposure, had chosen to break herself rather than weaponize her daughter's existence. Justice wasn't a moment. It was generations of people refusing to be erased. It was Jordan standing in that ballroom, making Victoria say Claire's name. It was every person Victoria hurt finally being seen. Power rewrites history, but the erased always leave traces. In their children, in their choices, in the love They give even when it costs everything. My mother spent 27 years carrying a secret that killed her. I spent 1 year making sure it didn't die with her. If this story meant something to you, if you've ever wondered about the parent who left, the truth nobody told you, the price of someone else's empire, share your story in the comments. And if you believe the erased deserve to be remembered, subscribe. Because every story like this is someone refusing to disappear. Someone saying, I existed, I mattered, I was loved, and that's worth remembering.